Welcome to another edition of the Full Arch Masters podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Dunlop, and today I am joined by a good friend and longtime collaborator, Mr. Kamil Zborowski. Kamil and I have been working together to develop and implement new learning objectives in Full Arch Masters for many years, and he has been a key contributor and educator at our courses for a long time. So welcome, Kamil, and what do you want to talk about today?
Well, thank you so much, first of all. I mean, it's a pleasure to finally make the podcast, which has had tremendous success, which it's so exciting. And we have a special anniversary also.
Yes.
We just realized that we've been doing this for 4 years since we've met each other and kind of started on this journey of sharing full arch workflows, right? I mean, I think one of the first things I remember from meeting you was how you love to share.
Right.
You know, and so that's definitely fully encompassing through this whole program of Full Arch Masters. So super excited. Thanks for having me. We just finished a great session of Full Arch Masters on the flagship course. Fantastic group.
Amazing group.
Some international students, which was just next level as well.
We finally crossed the pond.
Yeah, exactly. So really nice people, and just full of energy, you know.
Tremendous energy, tremendous motivation, positive thinking. They're the right type of docs that we want in FAM.
100%, all about it. Willing to get in there, put their hands on it, and everything. So yeah. So one thing that we're here to share, obviously, is a release of the next generation of iCam 4D.
Super exciting.
I mean, look, it's been a while since something new's come out of iMetric. And although Generation 3 was really the camera, which is over here on the right side of Ryan, that generation made us, jump onto the bandwagon of iCam 4D and really plug it into that workflow that we've already were doing at that time.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but Generation 4 really kind of takes that and runs with it to another level. And I think, Horst, credit to him, did a great job of thinking about what things could improve and attacked point by point, right?
Right.
So the camera in front of me right here is actually the Generation 4 camera. It might be a little bit hard to see, but first thing you kind of notice is that there's a blue light that comes out of this camera instead of a green light that the Generation 3 had, right? And this is really important. The blue light has a better wave frequency that will allow for faster capture. So this camera does capture about, give or take 40 to 50% faster than a green light.
And that was my experience too.
Yeah, right. I remember in the advanced surgical course in Arizona, where it was the first use of the camera. Right. We noticed that it was significantly faster. Yeah. But this light and the redesigned hardware that's inside of it actually prepares the whole solution for added function. Right. Horst and the developmental team are being fairly secretive about all of the things that will come in the next months. But we did get kind of a sneak peek that there's going to be expanded laboratory function. So the main goal is to have this double as a desktop scanner.
I see.
Right? And so that's going to give us a little bit more help if we needed to scan for example, a jig of some sort, right?
Right.
or an impression, or a model,
or a denture.
Or a denture, exactly. Right. So, kind of reduces the amount of equipment that we're going to need. And that's a great thing, right?
That is a great thing.
We ideally would love to have one camera for everything. Unfortunately, that's quite complex to do these days.
Right.
But this is kind of the road and the beginning of the steps towards that vision, right?
That end point in mind where one piece of equipment does it all.
Yeah, everything we always hope for, right?
Right. So eventually, but this is a big step forward if it can do multiple phases of our workflow with one piece of equipment.
Absolutely. It's all about making it easier, faster, more accurate. And on the easier front, it's really nice because the footprint of the camera, although it looks pretty much the same from a design standpoint, right? It is just a little bit smaller than Gen 3.
Easier to handle.
Easier to handle.
You can almost hold it comfortably with one hand.
Yeah, and you know, that's because it's a third lighter, right? So they were able to shed about a third of the weight of Gen 3 into the Gen 4, which does make it much more comfortable, right? You know, for somebody that's a smaller user, you know, holding it up sometimes can be tiring with the 3, much more comfortable with the 4. Still, you have the 2 handles that will provide good stability during the scanning
Many
process.
times you're working on a sedated patient who's leaning back all the way or part of the way, and, you know, for anybody, you know, of any stature, it's sometimes tiring to hold that camera and keep it steady as you pan. So I noticed a difference right away.
100%. Like you need to be comfortable when you're doing any photogrammetry. Patient position is a big part of that, right? We obviously talk about this through training and everything. But having a third of the weight doesn't hurt anybody, right? And so missing third of the weight.
What are you trying to say?
So besides that, I mean, there is another big exciting thing. These little guys, the iCam bodies, which everybody kind of has known them as the dominoes, they have pretty much stayed the same, although there have been some recent advancements in these iCam bodies. Before, if we've had any old school iCam users, you knew that you could not mix 2 sets of iCam bodies at the same time. Now they are marked, so there's a laser coating on them that will tell us what scan body is at what. And so now you have an ability to mix them up and still be fine. And if you lose them, this was probably always, you know, going back to my original my original photogrammetry system that we brought to the US in 2017, and then continuing into iCam 4D, you know, you lost some, you had to buy a whole new
set, yeah. Very frustrating.
And that was, I think, probably complaint 1, 2, 3, 4 on the complaint list. But yeah, so with Generation 4 and the new iCam bodies, it is going to be possible to buy 1 iCam body at a time.
That's a big change.
And that's huge, I think, right? I mean, we were just talking about right before this, where you felt that's way overdue. I did agree, but you know, give it to Horace, right? He listened to the market, to the feedback, and he made an adjustment. It was quite a complex adjustment because it has to deal with files, and we'll talk about accuracy in a little bit, but has to deal with files and the system. So it's not so easy necessarily just to say, okay, here you go, this is how it is. But they put in a ton of work to be able to have that.
These reproducible one by one instead of a set.
Yeah, I mean, look, like, you know, touching on to the accuracy whole standpoint, right? In the mantra of Switzerland, right, the Swiss products. Everybody, of course, knows Swiss and Switzerland as making some of the finest products.
Precision, reliability, high technical skill,
Exactly, and so that's really held true for iMetric when they're producing the iCams. So you see that, you know, for example, they're using 4 cameras instead of 2, so it's not a stereo photogrammetry system, but a true photogrammetry system, right? And the iCam bodies are metal, right? And so that allows us to have much more security and over time. It is actually a 2-piece product. There's titanium involved and an aluminum top body.
You're talking about the flag?
The dominoes themselves, but each one's produced, and then those are really precisely measured back at home base in Switzerland, and then coded and then installed on different cameras, right? So that allows us to both verify seating and have a metal to metal to metal connection, right? Metal MUA to a metal iCam body to a metal screw, right? So there's no compression or less compression that happens through tightening. Of course, surgeons and big guys like you with big muscles, always get in there and kind of hardcore.
Right.
Make sure that they're tight. You don't have too much worry here that you're gonna damage something internally and stuff like that, right? Besides that, autoclavable, right? And
nice.
Because they're metal, there's no distortion that happens, right? PEEK, plastics, things of that nature, they do have some tendency to distort, especially in Statums autoclaves.
Especially under heat.
Yeah, heat, moisture, pressure.
Right.
There's a lot of little things that happen there, and you got to keep in mind, right? When we have a scan body or anything internal where that seating platform is, those areas are fairly thin. So even though the rest of the body of a scan body might be thick plastic, when there's no internal metal component, we're still seating on a little tiny piece of plastic that's going to start heating and expanding and contracting and things of that nature. So you don't have to worry about that with these. I think from that standpoint, it provides that level of assurance and quality that Horst tried to put into the iCam 4D, and that assurance that you will get that 6 micron accuracy time in and time out, right?
So speaking of accuracy, does this version of the iCam maintain the super high precision and accuracy of its previous generation?
Absolutely. There are studies going on right now to try to measure the extent of the increase.
Mm-hmm. So there is some predicted increase in accuracy from this to this, although it's hard to imagine an increase in accuracy from something that's already down to microns you can count on your 2 hands.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, eventually we're approaching like event horizon here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you're the best guy to talk about this because I mean, God knows how many thousands of cases you've done in your in the clinic, in the courses that we lead here. It's pretty much a slam dunk. At this point, we're just trying to show people how to do what we do here, right?
Right.
I think everybody could say that it's established that the workflow is absolute and repeatable. Right.
The key to all of this is the elimination of variables that impart inaccuracy. There's always going to be human error. There's always going to be equipment malfunction. There's always going to be materials breakdown. These are variables that we have to live with. Mm-hmm. What we don't want to have is an intrinsic error in our data set. We want to start from the purest data set and then incorporate as little error from then as possible.
Absolutely.
So this technology allows you to start at the purest, most accurate data set imaginable, which you will agree with me when I say we cannot manufacture to the level of accuracy that these machines provide.
Absolutely not.
Will we be able to someday? I think we will. But at this current point in time, we cannot effectively manufacture to harness the true accuracy of this. That being said, that doesn't mean we shouldn't strive to start with the most accurate information possible.
Totally agree, right? I mean, the bottom line is you want to start with as close to perfect as possible, right? Because there are stackable errors, right? There's stackable errors in our impressioning methods, but that's only one part of the process, right? We'll introduce errors through milling. We'll introduce errors through printing. We'll introduce errors through finishing, right? And so if we start off with 20 microns or 40 micron error, and then we stack a bunch of others, we can get to something that could be
clinically significant.
Exactly. Right. You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, boom. It's like we're one person.
We often finish each other.
Oh my goodness.
We often finish
each other's sandwiches.
Oh boy, we're going Disney now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, right? You're absolutely right. You want to start with the best possible accuracy and then utilize milling machines. We get pretty close with milling machines, right?
We're in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Today's milling machines are, depending on which one, 10 to 20 micron repeatability. Right. 3D printing is a little bit more variable, but it does something fast, so we love it for that, right? But yeah, look, the other thing I'll say is everybody probably has seen the references that have come with iCam in the past. They were kind of the cylinder, but
Right.
kind of shiny, hard to use for the
Right.
most part. There was a redesign now of the cylinder, which is down on the counter here, and so it's great because it's a captive screw solution, right? So there's no external
Nice.
screw.
That's helpful.
You can put it on with your hand. You can start it with your hand, or you can do it with a driver. But probably internally from us at WTI, from the training standpoint, and from users and educators like you, one of the biggest pet peeves probably was that the screw is so long of the ICAM body, and that when we use a normal screwdriver, that sometimes it felt uncomfortable, right?
Right, it's a little tall sometimes in the mouth.
Exactly. So ICAM again, and kind of went back to the drawing board and produced a nice short driver, which fits perfectly on the ICAM body. So you can grab the two pieces, put it in without any issues,
Right.
and have a very ergonomic design for the application or the delivery of these ICAM bodies into the mouth.
And
right?
for somebody with gorilla hands like me, this is a tremendous advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's the little details that really make an experience solid and,
For sure.
and good, and that's one of those little developments.
Well, also,
right?
we're trying to expose full arch dentistry to as many dentists who want it. And, in the last 4 years, you and I have seen the transgression of the different types of doctors that come through this course. Mm-hmm. We started for the first year or two training juggernauts, people who were already doing 30, 40, 50 arches a month and just needed the digital workflow in place. I have seen a huge shift over the last 2 years where now we're really training full spectrum experience. So we're training doctors who have never done a full arch surgery. We're training doctors who are right out of school. They know that they want to do this type of dentistry, and making these things easier and more accessible to them and easier to use makes a big difference.
100%. I mean, it's all about the ease of use, right? Like
Right.
in the beginning, I feel like photogrammetry's adoption was slow because it was hard to describe what exactly this changed for the clinic, for the patient, and also for the overall treatment team, right? The laboratory and so on. And then we overcame that hurdle.
Right.
But like you said, now we have people that want to get into the game that have a newer, I guess, entrance to the whole apparatus. And
Right.
these are all tools, along with education courses like Full Arch Masters, are great vehicles to expand the provider portfolio, right?
Right. So in addition to the redesigned parts and pieces, which is a welcome addition, they've also added some interesting things and good things on the support side.
Absolutely, yeah. So the support apparatus now is all based stateside.
That's great.
It's according to ICAM, it's a 24/7 basically scenario,
Right.
and that's because when the U.S.-based support closes, there are actually two other regions in the world that are coming online to service the other parts of the world, right? So you do have a global reach as far as the support, which, look, I gotta be honest, I'm the distributor, right?
Right.
My journey through photogrammetry, and it wasn't always a scenario where the PG system had great support, right? So ICAM and iMetric, right, for their ICAM, spent a ton of time developing that backbone,
Right.
so that support is quick, it's reactive, it's right there because everybody has a patient in the chair, right? You don't call.
Everybody's the top priority.
You don't call for support on a photogrammetry system when it's after
When it's sitting on the shelf.
Exactly.
You call when it's like not scanning. Right.
Yeah. So dedicated team. There's actually a number of engineers from the engineering team now in Huntsville, Alabama, and part of that whole structure. For the first year with the purchase of a new ICAM, you get a hot swap program, right?
What does that mean?
So basically an emergency swap program of your camera. Something goes down,
right.
They're going to take care of you. It might be that you need a new camera shipped out, something swaps fast.
Right.
Not scenario where you have to send something overseas to Europe and wait, or vice versa,
right.
Things of that nature. Right?
So if your technology goes down, you can have a replacement unit within days probably.
Correct.
And then the repair may take longer than that, but you have something to keep your clinic floating.
Correct. Along those lines also, right, warranty aspects, the standard warranty is 1 year. But when you do get proper training for your iCam 4D, you do get a free extension for 2 years.
I see.
Which is wonderful, right? That's a 3-year warranty at that point.
Right.
And from the standpoint of WTI, I mean, we always want to provide extra training.
Right.
We've never been one that says, hey, this is super easy, here's your camera and go for it, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much all of our clients have gone through extensive on-site training that covers the whole spectrum. And so at that point, we feel we have users that know what they're doing, so it makes a lot of sense, and it's nice that iMetric backs up their product up to 3 years.
That's great.
For such a thing, right?
That's great. Well, we've covered so much about the new features. I'm kind of eager to try it out. What do you say we see how this bad boy performs?
Sure. Let's do it.
So we have a model that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dental implants. That's a lot of dental implants. This would be a very, very challenging mandible to get accurate records on. If this was an analog case, a lab would be manufacturing a verification jig off of this model and trying to send that to the dentist and have him or her loot that verification jig in the mouth and send that back somehow. So this would be a extremely frustrating and laborious project to get this master cast verified. So we're going to use the new iCam to capture our implant positions in a matter of moments, seconds, and you're going to see the power of this system. So he's going to set up the computer, and we're going to take a measurement of all of 8 of these implants at once, and this is a very realistic replica of what you might find in the mouth. It's not that common for me to place 8 dental implants, but 6 dental implants is pretty common. 7 dental implants is relatively common. So let's see how it performs. So in the software, you have to select how many implants you're telling it to look for, right?
Correct.
And once it turns on, it's looking for that number of implants?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so if this was during a surgery, your assistant would be starting this up just a few minutes before you wanted to take your measurement, right?
Yeah, this can be entered in ahead of time, but to be honest, it's just so quick to enter in the information.
Right.
Really, to start off, all you need to do is put the patient's name and select approximately the location of the implants.
Okay, so it doesn't, the exact position of the implants doesn't have to be what you record. It's just the approximate location.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and then now we can kind of see the new blue light, right? We were talking about accuracy and precision and all of that good stuff, right? So the one thing that iCam 4D does want is a verification of your system.
Okay.
And yes, it asks you to do that before every scan, but when you're dealing with a $20,000, $25,000 case per arch, you really want to have the assurance that all your equipment is working properly. Because how do you know that it is?
Right.
Otherwise, right?
Totally.
It's hard. So I'm going to do this looking backwards.
So this is the calibration process.
Correct.
That took a second. It's nothing.
So the other thing is, and we didn't really talk about the shape per se, right? But the shape of this, the height, the four-sided approach, it's really designed to facilitate an easy scan in the mouth.
Right.
Here we have 8 implants. So imagine you have 8 implants in the mouth. You have some tight lip mobility, right? You might not be able to really see everything at once. So we can capture things in a sequence.
Okay.
It's still one capture. And the one thing I'll say also is a lot of people still call this scans.
Right.
These are not scans.
Right. It's math.
It's math, exactly. So it's measurement, right? The photogrammetry camera will use the 4 cameras to take pictures, still pictures, of the different angles and shots that we provide, and it's going to measure a vector, right? Per implant. But the key here is that the vector is interrelated in between the implants, right? Meaning implant 8 will have a relationship that's fixed with implant 7 and 6 and so on.
They all have fixed relationship with each other.
And so that's what leads us to, photogrammetry law number 1, where we always will verify and hold the patient as the master cast. For those reasons that you mentioned earlier about the accuracy of production, this does such a good level that we want to test it in the mouth, right?
Okay.
So we are calibrated, and I'm going to go ahead and use the system. Typically, you want to be looking at the screen itself so you can see a little bit better. But once you're in the appropriate distance around, you just bring it all the way around. And again, we're doing 8 implants at this time. And we are basically finished.
You couldn't even get all the way around the arch. It ended so quickly.
Exactly. So here, as soon as we're done, everything turned green, right? So we got this scenario on the screen now that we have our scan bodies in position, right? In that related position.
Right.
The thing we were just talking about, the measurement factor, is that on the screen here, the user gets a graphical depiction of what it looks like.
Right, you can see that is the same as that.
Yeah, but underneath, the system has XYZ coordinates.
Right.
So when we go to the next step, we can go ahead and quickly change our geometry to really anything that we want, right? Of course, most of the time we're using a healing cap, right? A healing abutment. We do a lot of neodyne, but we have users that do a lot of the other systems, right? BioHorizon, Nobel, and so on, Norris. So the healing cap can be adapted to any of the implant systems. You would then want to take the impression of that healing cap in the mouth so we can relate it back to the export from the iCam, right?
And those have to match. You have to choose the right geometry in your software so your CAD technician has the ability to marry multiple data sets together.
Absolutely. It's so important, it's so important for the user to understand that the laboratory that they're using must have the exact same file that they have in their CAD system, their iCam system. Right? Because everything has to match. You have to have the export here match what's in the mouth for the soft tissue impression and also what's in the ExoCAD library or your 3Shape library or whatever design software that you're using. You want to have that exact same file in there for matching, right?
Okay.
The iCam software here is something that will be getting a complete revamp at the end of this year.
Okay.
So part of that will be that ability to incorporate desktop scanning with the Generation 4 unit. There will be other advancements in the new year that, like I said, iMetric is holding it a little bit close to the vest right now.
Tight-lipped at the moment.
Yes, but it's all going to be part of that new software package that gets released. And so that's very exciting. I will say, I don't know the details, but they are going to be working on some scenario for users with previous generations to be able to upgrade to Gen 4.
That's good.
Again, details will follow.
Right.
I don't know too much about that at the moment, but Also exciting that they're taking into consideration their existing
users.
Yeah.
So what is the rollout timeline for this generation? Are they going to be readily available, and how many are they going to be making per month?
So these are going to be readily available. Officially, it launched this week, right? So
at Full Arch Masters.
At Full Arch Masters.
Where else would you launch a new product?
Absolutely. On Monday, July 17th, I think that was the official launch date of the Gen 4. Coincided with a Full Arch Masters, right? Maybe not.
With a live surgery using it? I don't know.
It
sounds like a big coincidence.
But yeah, so they're launching now. I know a couple of our users had their iCam shipped this week. And over the next couple of weeks, I know we have several iCams rolling out to users, and we'll be doing that on-site training planning with them and everything.
Right.
Full scale, you can imagine that there's a little bit of a backlog.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But you know what? I will again, I don't mean to sound like a little broken record here, but I will again give tip my cap to Horse and iCam. Many technologies, when they rolled out a new product, simply one day shut off one product from distribution. Anybody that purchased, even though they purchased in close to this line, they were done, right? They could not have any recourse.
Right.
iMetric did go through a process where they allowed users in a certain period that weren't delivered yet to have the ability to switch, upgrade. I can tell you that I think all but two customers of ours waited for the new iCam 4D, so they'll be getting them in the next week or so, the next couple weeks or so. And then full throttle of sales that are happening and forward will be September 1st. Okay. The production line is primed, ready, and about 100 plus units per month rolling off the assembly line as needed. So.
Wow. Well, it's truly another exciting addition to the Full Arch toolkit, and I'm excited to have been the first doctor to use this new technology here at Full Arch Masters. I see a significant difference between the new generation and the older generation. Nothing wrong with the older generation, but just like cell phones and cars and jet airplanes, everything gets better over time. So I welcome this update to an already fantastic tool. If you're thinking about switching over to digital full arch dentistry, it's absolutely fundamental that you use one of these machines to capture your implant positions. More and more cases are having complications and problems as more and more people start to do this treatment for patients, and the last thing we want to do is compromise our accuracy and our precision and our records. So these types of machines and cameras and softwares, they're all fundamentally important in the workflow. And so that's why Kamil and I have been working so hard for so many years to try to spread the gospel, so to speak, of digital full arch dentistry. And there's no better place in the world to learn about digital full arch dentistry than Full Arch Masters. It's what is our backbone. It's our religion, and it's our philosophy of spreading full arch digital implant knowledge in a collaborative spirit. We enjoy these classes so much. We get to meet people from all over the planet now.
Yeah.
So I am so excited to see what what the universe has in store for you and for me and for Full Arch Masters. And I am super excited to help you and to help iMetric 4D roll this out and get it in as many hands as possible.
It sounds wonderful, and we always have appreciated the relationship we've had, through the years. It's been amazing to watch this place grow from one building, one clinic, to
one building, one clinic, one lab,
to
now 3 buildings, lab, education, and clinic. Right?
Yeah, and fantastic facility. So it's been a pleasure for sure. I'll end on one thing. If you have a system implant system that does not use a standard MUA, please make sure to reach out to us at wtidental.com. We are able to start putting together kind of a wish list.
Okay.
The goal will be to add other connections.
That is will be much appreciated for implant dentists like me who see systems come through that I barely recognize.
Plus, I mean, you still have a lot of other legacy systems out
sure.
there, right?
For sure.
For sure. So we want to help out and make sure that you can accomplish as much as possible with your iCam.
Great.
So again, you can go on our website, wtidental.com.
Okay.
There's a comment box. Just shoot us off, whether you're using Vicon or Zimmer or whatnot. Or happy to kind of analyze and see what can be added in the future.
If you are using Vicon or for full arch, contact me directly because we need to talk. But nothing against Vicon implants. But thank you again for coming on the podcast. I'm super excited about all of this and what lays in store for both of us over the next few months and few years. So if you're interested in getting more information about Full Arch Masters, you can look on our website, which is fullarchmasters.com. You can get in touch with me or my team by emailing info@fullarchmasters.com. And this concludes another exciting edition of the Full Arch Masters podcast. We are live from sunny, warm Fresno, California, completing yet another amazing flagship course with doctors from all over the world. So, hey, have a fantastic day, and thank you, Kamil, for coming on board.
Thank you so much. We'll see each other, in about a month?
In a couple weeks.